So one of the things we love most about Korea so far is this park that's right next to our apartment. Like we said earlier, it goes all the way up to Seoul, so it's huge, it's beautiful. It's the perfect way to get nature and not have to hear the road noise. So
yeah. Once you get down here, like, you can't hear the road. There's a huge, like, 4-lane road 10 feet away, really, and you can't hear it at all.
I can't hear any cars coming by. It's amazing. Versus when you're up there, it's so loud and noisy.
Yeah, it's very loud. It's very city sounding, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's another aspect that's really cool. But it's nice to be able to kind of escape that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the intention with the whole park in general.
I think
it goes
so.
all the way down. It covers, like, I don't know how many cities are connected to it.
So between being able to hear the less noise from the road and then the peaceful, like, water flowing through and all the birds,
and they have
really nice.
They have stuff out here too, like basketball courts and tennis courts and like little water parks for the kids. Like,
that's so cute.
It's really cool.
It's been a lot of fun. So we figured while we're walking through this park that we really enjoy, we would talk about 10 things that we have found really interesting about Korea so far. Number one is the skincare industry. It's huge. It's worth about $13 billion. And you can see this like on every street corner. There's an Olive Young or Love's. They essentially have the equivalent of Sephora or MAC or Ulta. But they're cheaper and honestly I think better.
I think some aspects of it are cheaper. There's some aspects that's still expensive.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So that's been really interesting so far. I knew about it coming here, but to actually see it is really fun. And I've been using a lot of Korean skincare products. All right, number 2, public transportation is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, coming from Texas, we did not have good public transportation.
Really?
No subway system. The buses were terrible and kind of creepy, honestly. We would never ride the bus.
Yeah, back home, like, you would only ride the bus if you didn't have a car. And the only reason you wouldn't have a car is you couldn't afford one.
Which doesn't make it a bad thing, but a lot of people who probably shouldn't be on public transportation were.
I don't know, it was always like the seedier people, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
The people that you don't really want to be around or make you nervous around. But here, everybody uses public transportation.
Old people, young people, students by themselves take public transportation to school.
You think like a high school teenage girl, she'll go ride the subway at 10 o'clock at night on her way home by herself.
Bat an eye. no big deal
No big
at all.
deal. It's just normal.
So it's pretty amazing. Everything's been really nice and clean. Pretty cheap too. I mean, we can get to Seoul in about an hour and a half-ish
Yeah.
for about $5.
Yeah, it's super cheap, and that's for both of us.
Yeah. Number 3 is coffee. Coffee culture is huge. It's amazing.
It's ridiculous. Like just within, a 1 kilometer radius of where we live, just Starbucks alone, there's a couple of them, maybe 4 or 5. But there are probably at least a dozen other chains of coffee places that are all mixed in too.
Literally every 100 feet or so, you're hitting another coffee shop. And they're good. They're really good.
Yeah, they are really good. They're a little pricey. A lot of them are kind of pricey, but also the area we live in is Cafe Street, so that may pay into it. But even when we've gone to a couple places in Seoul, like Gangnam and Itaewon, there's coffee places everywhere.
And other areas that we've been to in Bundang also have a lot of coffee places. Yeah.
And then really popular is the Americanos.
Huge.
Everybody loves the Americanos here.
I think it's a mix of not being too strong, because it's essentially a shot of espresso with a bunch of water.
Yeah.
So it's not sweet, so you're not going to get fat drinking it, because that's of course going to be a huge concern here.
Yeah.
And it's not expensive, so you can have it every day, probably multiple times a day. And I don't know, I guess they really like it.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan.
The other side of the coffee culture is like the non-coffee shop coffee that you would do at home is different. They're all about the instant coffees.
Instant coffee is so huge. And
you walk down the coffee aisle, and instead of like big jugs of coffee beans or whatever, it's just all instant coffee.
Like ground, already ready to go, little capsules. So, next is party till you drop.
Yeah, jeez. So, in Korea, and we've kind of figured this is a little bit more normal here than it is in America. When people go out drinking, they go hard.
Yeah.
Like they go all out, and it doesn't matter what age they are. No. It's not just young people, but it's everybody.
Old ladies.
Yeah.
People just
they just go all out.
In soju, beer. Those are the 2 biggest drinks that we've seen.
Oh, the other night when we were at that one place that had the girl singing, that table had a bottle of Bombay, and they were just splitting the bottle.
It was like 4 guys, probably in their 40s maybe.
Yeah.
So just all kinds of ages. It's really interesting. Obviously, we never see young kids drinking or.
Yeah, no, they still go out. They still go out.
But
we
they
still
have
see
their
them all
little
over.
sodas,
But
and we see high school students that go out for barbecue with their friends, and they just all have soda and just have a good time. But yeah, when they drink, they drink.
Yeah, and it's totally okay. Like you will see, a couple of friends, and they're like holding their buddy up or whatever, and they're all having a good time, just walking down the street at 9:00 or something like that on a Friday, or even on a Thursday.
Drunk people.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
It's pretty funny.
But it's like still socially acceptable.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel unsafe. Like I never feel like they're about to come after us or do anything because they're drunk.
No.
At home, if you see a drunk person wandering around, it's scary.
You call the cops.
Yeah, you're like, do they have a gun? Do they have some ill intention?
Mental problems, maybe.
And here it's just it's just another drunk businessman.
Yeah, and even at that, other people they don't judge that person. It doesn't seem like they kind of laugh along, like, oh, that guy's having a really good time. Good for him, And the bars are open super late.
Oh yeah.
Most of them are open until people leave. Like usually, I mean, they don't have any laws about hey, they have to close at 2:00 like in America, but they'll usually stay open 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And if people are still there drinking, they just keep the business going.
7.
Yeah.
We haven't.
All right, what's our next one?
Our next one is work culture.
Work culture.
Work culture is very strange here.
Kind of like the drink culture, it's like a work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
But the work hard thing is a little bit different.
Yeah.
They don't seem to work really hard. They just work really long hours.
Yeah.
And they work a little bit during the time period.
Yeah, but it's not like us where you're trying to rush through it and get it done.
Yeah. If you have one task to do the whole day, I think a lot of American mindset would be, hey, let's accomplish this task as fast as possible, get it done, and then we can all go home. Mm-hmm. But the Korean culture is kind of the opposite. They're like, well, let's take a really long time to do this, so it has the appearance that we worked really, really hard on it.
we put in 12 hours today.
Yeah.
But let's forget that part of that was us leaving for smoke breaks and coffee breaks.
Probably 4 hours of that was like a break time.
One of the
stuff.
areas by our apartment, when we walk outside, there's a Starbucks, and we constantly see people who are obviously like on their break at work standing outside.
And just you know, 5 or 6 people, coworkers, just out there having a coffee break for like an hour.
And a smoke, and then they go back.
Yeah.
And then later on the same day, we see them again. So multiple breaks every day. But you are putting in a lot of hours.
Yeah.
And we have a friend who's a computer engineer from Africa, and he says that he kind of has that same mindset of like, he wants to get it done and he wants to leave. Why would you spend more time at work if you don't need to?
Exactly.
And he says he's actually looked down upon at school, at work.
At work, yeah.
Because he doesn't put in the crazy hours. He doesn't take breaks with his colleagues. So
yeah, they stay for like 2 or 3 hours after the end of their 8-hour shift.
Yeah.
To continue working, but he's already finished his work. But for him, like, they treat him like he's lazy because he left.
Right.
And he doesn't get the same recognition
in less time.
Exactly. So they're not necessarily about being the most efficient. Yeah.
Definitely not. But it's just a different country, different culture.
But they do go out. Like they'll do their like 10 hours at work or whatever, and then after work during the week they'll all go out and drink together.
Yeah.
It's really, really kind of interesting.
It is interesting.
So I don't know. I think maybe that's their socialization as well. It's like, these are the people that you're going to spend most of your time with. You might as well have fun with them too.
Exactly.
So
the next point is school culture. Schooling here is intense.
It's super intense.
I feel sorry for the kids
I almost feel bad for the kids, except for like how it's still a good thing. So what they do is the kids, they go to school a lot earlier during the day. They go to school at like 7 or maybe 8 o'clock at the latest. Mm-hmm. And then they'll be there until younger kids until like maybe 1 o'clock or so. And then afterwards, they go to a bunch of after-school activities and academies. So it can be anything from English, math, science, history, stuff like that. That are actually expected educational things. But then they also have other things like taekwondo and soccer and stuff like that.
Or jump school.
And then they have the really random ones, like jump school, which is literally a jump roping academy. Or one girl told me that there's a trampoline academy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So they go and it makes sense because they're getting their energy out. I mean, they're still kids. They still have a lot of energy, and we definitely see that in our classrooms with them.
For sure. And I think that's the thing, they're harnessing, the parents are utilizing all that energy that these kids have by making them go do all this stuff.
Water break?
Water break. So they go to all of these activities and academies and stuff like that. And while it's really good because they're learning a lot of stuff, in America it's really just kind of seen as the people who need that extra help, like, they really suck at math, so they go to a math tutor or something like that. But here it's like you have to do this to be competitive. Yeah,
everyone does it.
That's the whole point, is you have to be ahead of the public system.
There's too many people and not enough jobs.
Oh yeah, because once they're done with school, everybody has gone and done all of these same things. They've all gone to math academies and science academies and English academies, so it's not as competitive advantage as you might think it would be, because everybody does it. Yeah,
that's very true.
And we're starting to see that a little bit in America with like university degrees are being a lot less competitive than they used to be.
Right.
But not on the same level as they see it here in Korea.
Yeah.
One of our friends, she applied for a job to be a flight attendant on a Korean airline, and it was really competitive. Like, she had to like fast for a couple days to make sure she didn't look like she was any kind of overweight, which she isn't even close to.
Yeah,
she cut her hair to like look the part so much better, and like got it dyed.
They want the typical Korean face.
Yeah.
She said they inspected her, like they came up close and like watched her skin.
Yeah.
Made sure everything looked nice.
But
it's just
the deal with it was, you think of like a flight attendant job, and it's a really good job. They usually have really good pay, but your qualifications, it's a customer service job. Like, you don't need to have some crazy degree or anything like that to do that type of job.
As far as we know.
Well, as far as we know. But she had gone to school. She had gone to university, like a technical university, specifically to train to be a flight attendant. And on top of that, there were something like 10,000 people applying for this job. So she had very minuscule chance, even with all her qualifications. And unfortunately, she didn't get the job, but it was a really interesting insight for us to see that so many people trying to do something like this with all of these qualifications, that it kind of, I guess, lessens your qualifications or the value of them.
Yeah, so school culture is very intense,
Yeah,
very
school
different than home.
culture's super
but I feel like we need
intense.
something more like this at home, because the kids are so used to having so much school
Yeah,
that
they
it
just
doesn't
do it.
seem to faze them really.
No, they just do
They're
it.
just used to it.
Okay.
All right, next is, what's next?
I don't know. You got the list.
Next is Koreans being really nice people.
Yeah.
They're very kind. Obviously, we're different. We stand out.
Oh, yeah, we
everyone
totally
here is
stand out.
Korean, which is one of our other points that we'll talk about later. But everyone tries to help us.
Everybody's been awesome.
Even the people at the bagel shop who, well, that guy spoke English. Actually,
Yeah,
he had
actually,
really good
yeah,
English.
he spoke pretty good English.
But in places where they don't speak English, which is pretty rare, because most of the time they at least speak
Some
enough
English, yeah.
to kind of like talk to us. Most of the time they at least know enough English to have like a slight conversation with us, or enough that we can try to pronounce. Koreans say American or like English words
Very differently.
very differently.
Yeah.
Like,
so coffee is copy.
Copy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they don't have an F sound in the Korean language.
Yeah. What was the other one?
Frappuccino.
Yeah, frappuccino.
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 So if you say Frappuccino, they're like,
They're confused. They don't know what it means.
even though it sounds so similar.
Super close.
So
They can't
if we want to
distinguish
order
it.
a Frappuccino, we have to say Frappuccino.
Frappuccino.
And then if we say it with that kind of Korean way of speaking, then usually they can understand us.
Yeah.
So that's been really interesting. But back to the point, Koreans are so nice, and they've been trying to help us so much. And people who like see us confused, they stop and help, especially if they know English.
Even like we've been like I've been standing there with my phone out, like looking at a map, and we're talking, and somebody will just walk up to us and be like, "Do you need help?"
Yeah, it's so
Or
sweet.
like, "Where are you trying to go?" And it's really broken English, but they just want to help.
They're just trying to help.
Oh, the other day when we went to that restaurant,
Oh yeah. We
were
with a friend
yeah.
who has a gluten allergy, like a really bad gluten allergy, so she can't drink beer. She can drink soju, but it's
She
not
doesn't
really
like
like
it,
a
yeah.
sippable. You don't
I
just
don't
sit
know,
there
I
and
can
drink.
sip
I
it,
mean,
but-
you can. But not the. So we were looking at the menu to see if they had like a cocktail or cider or something that she would be more interested in drinking. And we were talking to the server, and she didn't really understand us. And just another patron at the bar came up to us and was like, "Hi, do you need help?" And he helped translate.
Yeah, his
Talk to
English
her.
was really good. Like, he knew what we were talking about. When she said, "Hey, she can't have gluten. Are there any other options?" And he just had the conversation and was able to really help in a way
Yeah.
that like we would never have been able to accomplish.
It was so sweet. Just a random person.
Just a
It's
random
like, "Oh,
person."
Thank you so much. You have great English.
Yeah.
I always compliment their English because
Yeah.
they're so excited, because it's something that obviously they go to school for. Usually from the time that they're like young children, like the children that we teach. So I love to compliment that because they're so excited about it. I think that's enough about that topic.
Yeah, it's been
They're
a really good
nice,
experience. Everybody's
really
been really
helpful.
nice and helpful.
Pretty awesome.
More so than you would ever really expect.
Right, exactly. The ninth thing that's really interesting is the fashion.
Oh,
We knew
jeez.
Korea would be a very fashionable place. People are trying to stand out, but also trying to conform. So it's a really interesting mix.
Yeah, because I mean, everybody does have a lot of similar features, but they don't look the same as like the stereotype that we have in America that, you know, all the Asian people look the same.
They don't.
Once you've been here for like 2 days, you realize that they have a lot of different, distinct features.
It's just like them thinking all white people look the same.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but
So-
so Koreans have a really distinct style, and right now it's very 90s
Oh,
influence.
super 90s.
It's so fun. Like,
Especially
I feel like
with the
I'm a kid
women.
again.
A little bit less so with the men,
Yeah.
except for maybe the younger, like hip men, right? But with women of all ages,
Yeah.
it is just straight 90s, like baggy
Oversized
jeans.
t-shirts, baggy
Yeah.
jeans, mom jeans.
I've seen the overalls, like the
Yeah.
denim overalls, but like the skirt ones.
Oh, those are so cute.
Yeah.
The big like platform sandals
Oh,
and
God,
platform
sandals.
sneakers. Oh,
Crocs.
the big giant sneakers that are just like all white, like dad sneakers, but with the heel.
Oh yeah, the Filas.
Oh, the
Filas,
Filas.
yeah. Filas, I haven't seen Filas since the 90s, and they're super popular here. But I think the absolute most popular shoe is Crocs.
Yeah, all of our kids wear them.
Everybody wears Crocs. Even you go to a restaurant and the server's wearing Crocs.
Yeah.
You know, you go into like an office building and the receptionist is probably wearing Crocs. Like,
I don't
it's
think
just
that
so strange. But
it's, yeah,
again,
it's really
definitely in the
interesting.
service industry, they wear comfortable shoes like flip-flops and Crocs and stuff like that. It's interesting.
We go to Paris Baguette fairly regularly, which is kind of like a little not bagel,
It's just like a pastry shop. Pastry shop slash cafe. Kind of like Starbucks, but with more food.
They call it Petit Baguette
Patty baguette, yeah.
or something similar.
But the girl that works there,
yeah, the girl who works there, she wears like
these bright pink Crocs. Yeah.
Crocs. It's so fun.
That's really hilarious. And the last one?
Last one is being foreigners is really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
We've obviously living in America, everyone's so different that you don't
So
really
diverse.
you don't stand out. Like it doesn't matter what race you are or how old you are or
Yeah, like
what religion you are.
You're just American.
You're an American.
It's just weird.
And here everyone's Korean.
Yeah.
So we stand out like a sore thumb, but not in a bad way.
I mean, people look at us, but out of like curiosity.
Oh, they're so curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's never ill-intended. It's very like just curious. Like, oh, you look different than we do.
Yeah,
Where are you
and then
from?
they want to talk to you. Like, oh, I don't know how many times have we been sitting at a restaurant or at a bar or just like standing somewhere, and someone will just be like, start talking to us. Hey, where are you from?
Yeah. And we're like, America. And they're like, oh, the U.S.
Yeah.
One time, this really drunk guy at a
Oh,
bar
yeah.
asked us, and we told him we were from America, and he was like, oh, you helped us so much in the war. Thank you. And I was
We're like,
we
yeah,
didn't, but
my grandfather
our
was like the
ancestors-
right age for that, but
It was really sweet, though. And we were like, well, Korea's really beautiful. We love it so far. So it's been a really fun experience. Ryan stands out a lot with his beard.
yeah, the beard.
They love the beard.
Yeah, most of the people really like it. In their like in the Korean style and culture, they don't like facial hair.
Yeah. Sometimes
But-
like a small like goatee. or
Even
a little
that,
tiny
like they
beard
just kind
or
of look down on it as dirty. But for a foreigner, they don't really care.
They're just
Like
interested.
they're just interested to see it.
We had a drunk guy in the subway once come up and be like, oh,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
nice. And we were like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, guy. Like, we gotta go now.
All right, bye.
But yeah, it gets a lot of looks and comments. But like I said, for the most part, everybody's just kind of like, oh, that's really interesting. But
Yeah.
older Korean women, they're scared.
Yeah.
I like walked up to wait for an elevator, and there was like an older Korean woman there, and she like walked away and waited for me to get on the elevator. And as the elevator door was closing, she like walked up and waited for it to close, so that way I would leave and she could wait for the next elevator.
Yeah, people were.
But she didn't say anything or give me any dirty looks. She
No.
just like looked at me
Like-
kind of out of the corner of her eye, and she just like walked away and then came back like a minute later.
Oh, foreigner. But
Yeah.
it's been so interesting to be at the point now that we've been here for a few months where I actually get excited when I see another foreigner,
Oh yeah, we're like, oh, white person, foreigner. Ah, I see.
white or a black person, or
Yeah.
we don't really see a lot of Hispanic people.
No,
which is kind of
not really, yeah.
But I got started jokingly telling Ryan like, oh, foreigner, whenever we
Yeah,
would see one,
whenever we
and
see
now
one,
it's
we're like,
like turned into a real thing. Where it's
Yeah.
like, oh my god, a foreigner. So
Yeah, unless
crazy.
we go into Seoul, like in this area, I mean, there are actually quite a few foreigners here
We just never
because
see
there's a
them.
lot of English academies in
Yeah.
the area, but you just don't see them all that often because we all work like different hours. Most people work in the afternoon and evenings, but
right, like us.
but you know, if you work at the public school, your hours going to be completely different.
Yeah. So I think that's it. I mean, that's our 10 interesting things that we've learned so far. It's only been about 4 or 5 months. We've been here since February. So I'm sure we'll think of more, and as we do, we can always talk about that
Yeah,
in the future. But that's kind of where we're at right now.
yeah. And speaking of where we're at, we're back to our tunnel
So
that we came through in the first place. So
we're gonna take off.
yeah, we got to go to work.
Yeah, we
We got to be
actually-
to work soon.
Can you hear this lady singing?
Yeah.
She has a beautiful voice.
She's very operatic.
I keep getting distracted from you
Yeah.
because I keep hearing her. Yeah. Lost my train of thought.
But the girl that...
Almost done.
Yeah, we're almost home. We kind of passed it a while back and came back.
Yeah.